Today on Hearts of Heroes, a woman and her dog are swept away in a roaring river.
The current was so strong that it was knocking me off my feet.
First responders will have to attempt a rescue by land, air, and water.
This was starting to turn into a frenzy. How are we going to get this canine out?
But first, a family dog goes missing for 5 heart-wrenching days.
Gertie sees the chance and literally rams the door, and in seconds she's gone.
And when she's discovered, she's trapped behind a cement wall. Rescuers have few options to get her out alive.
We weren't really sure what we were walking into.
These heroes went above and beyond to save man's best friend.
For anyone that has lost a pet, you know that terrible feeling, the fear and panic that overtakes you. But when one family finally found their lost dog, they were then horrified to learn that she was trapped inside a concrete wall.
Firefighters would have to work quickly to help the precious pup make it out alive. It would take ingenuity and adaptability to try and make the distressed animal one lucky dog.
Gertie sees the chance and literally rams the door. And in seconds, she's gone. She didn't come back.
5 days without water, a dog would be so dehydrated, they could die.
I remember the call coming in saying that there was a dog stuck behind a wall.
We knew that none of us were going to fit down there.
In the southwest corner of Ohio sits Cincinnati, the 3rd largest city in the state. People who live here are proud of their city and the role that it's played in the history of heroes. And this is on full display at the Cincinnati Fire Museum, which is dedicated to the city's unmatched historical role in firefighting and life-saving. In 1802, lawmakers required all males between 16 and 50 years old to respond to any and all fire calls. And in 1853, Cincinnati became the first fire department in the country to pay their firefighters. It's safe to say that saving lives is in this city's DNA.
3rd grade, I won a coloring contest, and the prize was to get pictures on a fire truck. And I stood on it, and ever since that day, I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
And after achieving her dream, Jennifer Atkins learned not every day on the job would include fighting fires.
My name is Connie Frick, and I live here in Northside in Cincinnati, Ohio. We have had Gertie for about 9 years, and she was almost a year old when we got her. She had been a street dog before the rescue got her. She's a very sweet dog, just loves to run away.
And it was this wandering spirit that would lead to days of panic and worry for her owners, Lynn and Connie.
It was just a regular day. Lynn had gone to the store, and as she's coming in the door with groceries in hand, Gertie sees the chance and literally rams the door. But she hits it so hard, and Lynn didn't have a free hand to grab her, and in seconds, she's gone.
This wasn't the first time that Gertie had run away, but she had always returned.
It's thundering, and she's terrified of storms, so she'll come back. She didn't come back.
Urban areas are very dangerous for a dog that's loose because of traffic. They get hit by cars quite frequently. Other animals can attack them.
I was sitting out here on the front porch waiting for her and whistling for her, thinking she's coming back. She didn't come back. That really surprised me. She left on a Tuesday, and we started putting up signs Wednesday afternoon.
If your dog runs away or gets lost, always put up missing dog posters with a clear photo and contact info.
At least 3 or 4 people had said, well, you know, Connie, after like 2 or 3 days, there's a really good chance she's not making it back. It was getting hotter every day. We were in the woods, looking for her, calling for her, whistling for her. I was definitely worried. I was getting really concerned because the temperature just kept going up and up. and there had not been any rain since Tuesday.
5 days without water, a dog would be so dehydrated that they could die.
As the search escalated, an unusual call came in to the Cincinnati Fire Department.
We're sitting in the station, and the call comes in, and everybody looked at each other like, okay, wait, this says that there's a dog trapped in a wall.
We weren't really sure what we were walking into.
Coming up, they found Gertie, but she's trapped, and her health unknown. Rescuers are in a race against time.
We knew that none of us were going to fit down there.
And later, rescuers must save another pooch in peril.
The water was rushing down in waves with the rainfall. It was pretty shocking to see.
But first, a tip for dog lovers everywhere.
In the event of pending or potential flooding, there are some precautions you can take to ensure your pet's safety.
If you can't take your pet with you, move all your pet's belongings to a safe, dry place and make sure they are wearing the proper identification in case they get separated. You can even keep a toy nearby to help them stay calm.
Pets are family too, so let's make sure they're taken care of and have the best chance of making it through a disaster safely.
In July of 2021, Gertie, a rambunctious rescue dog, escaped and went missing for 5 days. On the 5th day, a neighbor of Gertie's owners, Connie and Lynn, heard faint whimpers from behind a cinder block wall in her garage. She immediately called the fire department.
The tenant of the home said, you know, I can hear this dog. It's not my dog. She had just moved in recently, and she didn't use the garage.
On the way to the call, we're pretty much just reading what dispatch sends us. It is a dog between a wall. Reading that it was in a garage between the wall was kind of weird.
It's not an everyday call, so we kind of discussed, like, is this behind a drywall wall? Is this inside the house? We didn't have a whole lot of information to go off of, so we were just kind of winging it.
We did a 360 around the building. There was no way that we could figure out how the dog got in, but we could hear the dog, so we knew that it was there.
We could hear this dog scattering back and forth in between the wall. You can hear the dog was kind of whimpering a little. A couple of us went up towards the top, and we were able to find a hole and say, hey, this is where the dog is. We can see it now.
We pretty much immediately knew that there was no way we were getting her through the top. The wall that she was between was so skinny that we knew that none of us were going to fit down there. So the quickest, most efficient, and easiest way was to go straight through the wall. I think the biggest safety concern was once we started breaking down the wall to not hit the dog. Because a couple times she wanted to come to where we were when she heard our voices. We could see her back up, come forward, back up, come forward.
With the rescue underway, Gertie's owners got a call.
The lady identified herself as Vanessa, and she said, you know, I'm pretty sure we might have found your dog. And I was half dressed. We just flew out of the house as we were. And by the time we get up the street, which is literally less than 1 minute away, the fire truck was already there.
Once we had a big enough hole, I tried to peek in so I could see her.
We were trying to just call to Gertie to see if she would come to one of us. She wouldn't come to me. She came to Jen, obviously, because that's the one that I would have gone to as well.
I was like, Gertie, come here. And she just kind of waddles right on up. She peeks her head through, and I just grab her and pull her straight through.
Nice job.
I was just ecstatic. I mean, I was crying, Lynn was crying, the lady from the rented house was crying. Everybody was so excited. And all these neighborhood children were around, and they were clapping for the firefight. It was just so cool.
The pup was tired, thirsty, and hungry, but she was okay.
It was totally surreal. I mean, we got calls from friends in other nations. I saw you guys on the news.
Connie and Gertie recently had the chance to reunite with Jennifer.
Come on, Gertie, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Gertie!
Hi.
Come here! Hi! Hi, honey!
This is the woman who saved you, Gertie.
Hi! Hi, honey!
Oh man, are we grateful to you forever and ever and ever.
They're so cute.
We're so grateful in every sense of the word. I'm just forever indebted to them and admire them.
She's my first rescue.
Your first animal rescue?
Yeah, yep. This was a first for me. I had never even got one of the cat in the tree calls. So having this one come in and getting to do what we did was an awesome, awesome experience. One for the books.
Coming up, a daily walk quickly turns into a life-threatening swiftwater ride.
I noticed that the water was moving really quickly. So by the time I was able to react, he was already taken away by the river.
If you're an animal lover, you get it. Many of you would risk your life for your fur baby. So when one woman's dog was swept into a flash flood, she didn't think twice. She jumped right in after him.
But this heroic gesture would turn dangerous when both owner and animal were caught in the rushing current, leading to a daring water rescue that saved 2 lucky dogs.
Dispatch went out for a person and a canine that had fallen into the water.
When I saw Scooby get trapped in there and I saw how quickly he was moving, I actually just dropped all my stuff and jumped right in. The current was so strong that it was knocking me off my feet.
You have multiple victims and they're moving targets.
I was terrified.
When you think of Southern California, you might envision golden beaches, surfers, and crashing waves. But the city of Los Angeles also has a series of waterways that flow to nearby lakes and reservoirs, and of course the Pacific Ocean.
LA River is fed by tributaries that run throughout the San Fernando Valley, going from the foothills down into the basin.
The Los Angeles River is very unique. Its whole point is to really get water out of LA as quick as possible when it rains. So when we have the anticipated rain coming in, we're going to proactively pre-deploy our experts, the Swiftwater Rescue Team, who will be in different key areas.
Los Angeles first responders use their state-of-the-art equipment to do nearly 60 swiftwater rescues each year.
We end up doing a contact rescue in the LA River. We're able to capture that victim and then extract ourselves out via helicopter, boat, or watercraft.
Never underestimate the power of swift-moving water. It takes only 6 inches of water to sweep you off your feet and only 12 inches of water to move a vehicle.
Angela Buono and her 3-year-old rescue dog got to feel the sheer power of the water when they took their daily walk along the LA River.
My favorite spot to bring Scooby is right at the base of the dam because there's a lot of nice hiking trails and hills to go up and down. That day started pretty typical. It had rained, so I waited for it to stop raining, came here, and the river was pretty intense by that time. The water was rushing down in waves with the rainfall. It was pretty shocking to see the dramatic change from one day to the next, from it being almost like a creek to raging waters.
Scooby ran down to play in the river before Angela could call him back.
Scooby actually was already ahead of me, and I noticed that the water was moving really quickly. So by the time I was able to react, he was already taken away by the river. When I saw Scooby get trapped in there and I saw how quickly he was moving, I actually just dropped all my stuff and jumped right in. The current was so strong that it was knocking me off my feet.
Angela managed to grab hold of Scooby, but they were in a remote area and at the mercy of the rushing water.
So I kept trying to find little pieces that I could catch on to try to secure something to stop us. It was just moving way too quickly for us to even latch on to anything.
Coming up, Angela has to make a heart-wrenching decision.
And I'll never forget releasing Scooby into the abyss of the current and watching him just float away rapidly.
But first, here's a safety tip for pet lovers who live in flood zones.
In a situation like we just saw, it's understandable why pet owners like Angela would feel inclined to jump in after their pet. Remember, Even small amounts of floodwaters can be real dangerous.
It takes just 6 inches of moving water to knock a grown person off their feet. In a situation like this, typically it's safer to wait for the first responders to conduct the rescue.
Remember, when it comes to fast-moving water rescues, it's best to leave it to the pros.
In March of 2022, Angela Buono and her dog Scooby were swept into the Los Angeles River. They were struggling to keep their heads above water.
After a good 15, 20 minutes, I started getting concerned because I was getting very tired. I finally saw people looking over with their cell phones saying, "Hey, do you need help?" Gratefully, they all immediately called for help.
The incident commander felt it was in the best interest to effect a quick rescue via helicopter hoist versus ground-based at that point.
All of a sudden, not only did we see the helicopter, but you could feel it. You could feel the wind from the propellers, so it was very like a dramatic scene.
First responders call this type of helicopter rescue a dynamic short-haul rescue.
The firefighter came down and he said, "You know, you need to release him. We'll go back for him." And I'll never forget releasing Scooby into the abyss of the current and watching him just float away rapidly. When I was initially rescued, they brought me into an ambulance to check my vitals. They convinced me to go to the hospital. I didn't want to leave Scooby. I knew that, you know, he was still rushing down the river.
So we lowered our firefighter from the helicopter once again to effect a rescue. Again, that poor dog is scared, cold, biting. So it became very difficult to effect a rescue with that dog.
We determined that as the dog was going downstream, our river basin ended up widening out, which ended up making less flow and then also less depth of the river. As he ended up moving downstream, we had a greater chance to end up doing more of a land-based rescue on that.
Well, this is the area of the LA River where we enacted that very last rescue of Scooby. So at this point, the LA River reduced in severity greatly, and we knew that, and that's why we had this as a tactic for a rescue point once the dog was a little more tired out, less active, biting rescuers less, didn't have quite the energy to run around and evade us.
One of the members of the Swiftwater team ended up having a piece of webbing that he was able to lasso around Scooby. Some rescues end up going flawlessly and others get a little messy. And this one was an improvise, adapt, and overcome. And sometimes it isn't pretty.
Still, the rescue was a success. And within the hour, word got back to Angela that Scooby was safe.
I just burst out into tears. I was relieved. I was so happy. And I was also kind of all of these emotions coming out at once. When I got Scooby home, he snapped right back to the good old Scooby. He went and sat right on the couch and, you know, it was like nothing ever happened.
Soon after the rescue, Angela got to visit the station house to thank her heroes.
Hi.
Are you guys hungry?
How's Scooby doing?
He is amazing, thanks to you guys.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, back to his good old energetic self. And from the bottom of my heart, Scooby means the absolute world to me. You essentially saved my child. Thank you. It seems so little.
It's an honor and privilege to be able to serve you and the great citizens of the city of LA, and we'd like to end up saying that we're here for everybody, every day, 365, 24 hours a day.
Thank you guys so much.
You're part of the LAFD family now.
Yes, my real life superheroes is what you guys are.
There were a ton of heroes out that day. Real life superheroes is what I've been calling them because that's what they are to me.
We often talk about how first responders are heroes, but we rarely focus on the hours of training that it takes them to become a lifesaver.
It's both this preparation and their unbroken commitment to saving lives that makes us all pretty lucky dogs. See you next time on Hearts of Heroes.